Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting. Doesn't look like we have too big a crowd tonight. Welcome Jim Mathis. It's your second time judging for us. Appreciate it. The Midwinter Art Fair vanished from all. There was nothing you had on the list. Anything you want to talk about on that?
Bill, is your microphone on? Is kind of fading in and out.
Okay, let me try the other one. How's that?
That's better.
Yeah, that's way better.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, the Midwinter Art Fair. Harry, did you want to say something about that?
Yeah. Quite interesting. Kathy Moffett sent me some info on that, and I took a look at it. I didn't think that I'd be qualified to do anything there, and I sent an email up to Donna Long. She looked at it. She said she encouraged me to go ahead and send some stuff, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And just an overview of it. It's 5 states: Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Colorado. And people, you send in a photograph, an 8x10, and they have 3 categories. They had nature, people, and open. And you send in $20 for 2, or I sent in 4, and it was $30. And you just send in the photograph, and then you have the students there, put them in a mat and frame them. If you qualify, they had 150 out of 446 that qualified to be hung in the gallery. And of that, then they had some people that won awards. I didn't win any dollar amount, but I did get I guess kind of their honorable mention award for my large array. But they had 446 total entries that came in. So, but in looking at what made the 150 finalists, I got to say the work that comes out of this club would blow most of those photographs away. I'm sorry. I look at some of them and I just shook my head. Some of them were not interesting at all. Some of them were rather weird. I mean, in the open category, first place was a half a glass of water and 3 scissors. And I'm thinking, what the hell does that mean? I mean, it was just weird. And some of the stuff that you guys have entered, like the big boy, the big locomotive, they had one of those in there. And I mean, I think Calvin had a good one. Tom Malott had a good one. James, I think you had one. Travis, I think, had one. I mean, all of what you had shown, in our contest, just, would blow them away, So that was just kind of my take on the whole thing. But it was kind of neat. And the funny thing was that the one that I got honorable mention on, I had shown that to our club, 2 or 3 months ago, and I didn't even get an honorable mention. But, compared to some of the other stuff that was presented that night. So what we do is pretty high quality, I think. That's just my opinion. I know everything is subjective, but, that's my take on the thing.
Okay, thanks.
Is that website still up?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I was going to say I had looked through all those, and there was some that I thought was fairly weak, and then there was a couple that I was impressed with. And I mean,
yeah, there are some that are good, and interesting, but there's a lot of stuff that just, I mean, you look at it and it's like, so,
what I got to wondering was what was rejected.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them just look like candid camera shots. I mean, just,
I noticed that when they showed the person's name and the address from which they live, that it was pretty much central to Kansas and southern Nebraska, you know, and it was pretty, I want to say it was pretty Kansas, you know, and like you said, I thought that a lot of the stuff was what somebody took in the backyard and said,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
send it in.
yeah. So, but anyway, I was, you know, honored to make a showing anyway.
So how many could you enter?
I'm sorry, what?
How many could you enter?
Up to 4, up to 4. And then they send you a little card back and tell you what's accepted and what's rejected. And quite honestly, of the 4 I sent in, I think 2 of my other photographs were better than the one that they accepted. So again, that's just my opinion, you know, but I may give it a whirl. May try it again next year. I'd like to encourage our club to do it. Like I say, it doesn't cost very much.
Yeah, it's pretty nominal fee for the,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they frame them and they put them, they mat them and frame them and hang them in the gallery. It's on their website. You can kind of look and see some of the stuff that's there. So
Do you get to keep that?
you can request them to be sent back to you. You have to send a prepaid envelope and they'll send them back to you. They also put them up for sale. I mean, if they sell one of your photographs, it's $100 and they keep 40 and they send you 60. So it's not done. I think it's the end of February is when the thing closes. So
Okay, Raymond, excuse me. Raymond and Tom are going to be judging in September. And the subject was high key. Anybody have any questions on that?
yeah, I saw the example, and how do you do that?
well, let me jump in here for a minute and add a few paragraphs. One of the things, you know, high key is not necessarily a subject, it's a technique, okay? And I've kind of long felt like that the content that we've been doing month to month has been ordinary. And I'd like to see us maybe start stretching our box, if you call it that we're kind of in. And I wanted to kind of open it up to this high key subject matter. The subject matter can be anything you want. The point is it has to be high key. Now, high key by a strict definition is content that is from like mid-tone or higher all the way to pure highlight. Low key is just the opposite of that. Okay. Now you have to carefully pick your subject and pick your lighting, pick your camera settings in order to achieve those. And I did provide, I think, one image that showed what it is. And like I say, and that was the girl. And the reason I say the strict interpretation of it is that I don't think that anybody should stick to the strict interpretation. I think you should constrict yourself to a lot of highlights in this particular case, but a few shadows, like in that girl as an example. Her hair is dark to midtones, but the rest of her is, and her eyes, and the rest of her is pretty much, you know, upper midtones to highlight. It's not a difficult thing to do. I think the subject matter is sensitive to being able to do it, along with low key, the same, just the inverse of what you're trying to do. But I was just trying to stretch people's imaginations and challenge your techniques to kind of do something a little out of the ordinary. And I have several other kinds of subjects that I'd like to open up to us doing also. Just kind of stretching what we've been doing. That's all what I was trying to do. So, if anybody has further questions or needs some help with it, I'd be glad to work with them on it and kind of give you some guidance. I know in post-processing, there's a lot that can be done, but it really starts in the camera. So that's the best place to start. You can put Band-Aids on everything, but that's not the best way to do it.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
I just got a text back from Calvin. He's lost internet connection, so.
Oh,
okay.
bummer.
Okay. Nobody has anything else to talk about? Jim, you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah.
I have one thing whenever you're open to it. We can do it at the end if you want.
Go ahead and do it now. There may not be any end.
Okay, I just real quick, the group that Tom and I are part of in Lee Summit, there's a group that called Summit Art, and they're having a plein air event in early April, and April 8th and 10th. And as part of that plein air, I don't know if you're familiar with the term plein air, but it's basically artist painting in outside environment. That's where it came from. It's kind of a 15th century terminology, but we're included in this a opportunity to have photographs. And we're going to have two shoots, one on the Crestview Dairy property, which is about 35 acres of ground that has a lot of beautiful content on it. And we're also going to shoot in the downtown area of Lee Summit. And then we're going to have a display where we can hang work, and it'll be juried, and there'll be awards, financial awards for that. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know, and I can send you a PDF of that. The deadline for registering is March 1st. So just a heads up, if you're interested, I can send you information on it.
Is there a cost?
Yeah, I think the registration is $35. And you'll be able to hang framed work, and you'll be able to put packaged work, just matted work in a bin, and all be for sale.
Isn't that two framed works?
Yeah, and it depends on how many photographers we get. We can increase that if we get less photographers. But we don't know what we're going to end up with yet. So right now we're saying you can put in up to 3 framed pictures. And then I think it was I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, 2 or 3 packaged, just matted images.
Right.
Is that an indoor facility, or is that a tent venue?
It's well, I'm going to call it indoors. There's one side of this particular building that is open to the air, but basically it's rainproof, all of that. So the work will be hanging on pro panels in the room, but it'll all be dry and it'll be secure. Goes 2 days, Saturday and Sunday.
Raymond?
Yeah.
Would you send me that PDF so I can put it in the minutes?
Sure, Tom, be glad to.
Okay, which brings up one real quick point, and we can get on with the judging. I think that when we do the minutes, in the past, we've always just sent them in, and they incorporated those in the newsletter. And so some of the stuff is time sensitive, just like this. This would not get out to anybody if we put it in the newsletter, because it'd be passed.
Yeah, it'd be too late.
So I'm proposing that once I do the minutes, to send those out to everybody as soon as I'm done, within a couple of days, of the meeting so that everybody has the information at hand, kind of a reminder of what's going on, and instead of waiting for it to be put into the newsletter. I don't know.
Sounds
how you
like a
guys
good
feel.
idea.
Okay,
Okay, anything else?
that's all I
That's it
got.
from my perspective, unless somebody's got questions. Thanks for the time.
Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Okay, Calvin asked me to first spend a little time introducing myself, tell about myself. And then also he noticed some pictures I'd posted on Facebook of hand coloring or colorized. So he told me to mention that and tell a little bit about that as well. So that's what I'm going to do. And then we'll get into the talking about your pictures. As far as my background, I got my first camera when I was in the 4th grade. I guess I was 9, and started taking pictures of everything. And just within a year, I got that was a box camera. It was actually a Sawyer Nomad. And not long after that, I got my first adjustable camera, which was an old Bantam 828, which is right here. In fact, I still have it. This is I got this when I was like 10. And this is truly one of the greatest cameras ever designed, as far as I'm concerned, because it folds up flat and pops out. So I used this for quite a while. And then I got in high school, I got a 35 millimeter Bantam, which was actually a 35 millimeter Pony, which is not as good as this, which is why I still have this one. And then on our senior trip, when I graduated from high school, we went to Florida and had a great time. And I got the pictures back, and they were actually quite terrible. So I was really disappointed. It did not show what a good time we had. So when I got to college, I decided, well, I need to either give up on this photography thing or learn what I'm doing. So I decided to go with the learn what I'm doing side. And not long after that, about 35 millimeters SLR, single lens reflex camera. And I remember when I first looked at that viewfinder, and all of a sudden I could turn the focusing ring and things would pop into focus. It was a big, this is a peep sight, basically. Looking through an SLR, I was like, man, this is what I want to do. So I bought a few lenses, and I was in a fraternity, and me and a couple other guys became kind of the unofficial photographers for the fraternity. We had a dark room, and like me and a buddy of mine spent most of our time in the dark room learning how to develop film, print pictures, and all the things. We shot mainly Tri-X in those days. And then my first job out of college was working at a camera store. That's how I got to Kansas City. I got a job at Ben's Camera Exchange down at 12th and Grand.
Mhm.
And but back when I was back up a little bit, when I was in high school, a guy came to our school with a speaker for assembly, and I don't remember who it was, to tell you the truth. Might have been Zig Ziglar or somebody like that. Anyway, the guy said, if you want to be successful in life, all you have to do is be the best at one thing. Whatever it is you do, if you're the very best in your particular field, especially, you'll be successful. It can be, anything. If you're the best, you'll be good. You'll be successful. So that idea stayed with me all that time. And I really wasn't anything I was the best at. There wasn't anything I wanted to be the best at, particularly. And but I had that idea. What's my calling? What I want to do. And then while I was working at the camera store, I picked up a book at Barnes and Noble or someplace called Suburbia. And it was black and white photographs and the suburbs. I knew the guy's name, but I forgot it right now. Anyway, in the back of the book, there's technical information. It says all the pictures for this book were made, something like a Pentax 6x7 plus X or something like that. And all of them were printed by, and it gave a guy's name. He said, maybe the best black and white printer there is. And when I saw that, it just jumped off the page. I said, that's my calling. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the world's greatest black and white printer. So I started upgrading my dark room. I bought a pro quality gear while I was still working at the camera store, and like a Durst enlargers and stuff like that. And when Compound lenses, anything they said this is the best. Okay, that's what I got to have. So about 2 years later, actually, right at 2 years later, I quit the camera store and started doing black and white processing and printing full time. And that was 1973. And we opened the Custom Photo Lab in Overland Park. And we were, as far as I'm concerned, we were the best black and white lab anywhere. And mainly because we were the only exclusive black and white lab. We happened to be lucky, and everybody else was getting out of black and white. And the conventional wisdom was that color was where it was at and black and white was dead. And so the places like Custom Color and all those, they were shutting down their black and white departments, which weren't much to begin with. And we had the whole thing to ourselves, and we just decided do everything best we possibly could. Did that for 23 years. And in 96, actually, frankly, I made enough money to retire. I was 48 and just getting kind of tired of it. And plus, there was this thing on the horizon called digital.
Digital.
We'd already lost a few clients. Our clients were mainly commercial photographers and publications, and a couple of them had already switched to digital. And I thought, well, this is where it's at. I mean, this is the way to go. So we had a chance to sell the photo lab, and we got out of it. And I did a few other things. One thing I did was I opened a coffee house at 80th and Metcalf, which has just celebrated their 20th anniversary. So that was a good thing. But that was kind of, for photography, it was kind of the dark ages for me, because for the first time in my life, really, I didn't have access to a dark room. And I was just shooting color negatives and take them to, commercial lab, and they were universally terrible. And more than once, I'd pick up my photos and I'd look through them and just drop them in a trash can on the way out the door. It was just, and finally I got Epson started making decent inkjet printers around 97 or 98. And I got a Nikon film scanner. So I just get film process only, or shoot Kodachrome and scan the slides. And I had a decent, but finally they had a printer that was give you good results. So I did that for a while. And then in 2001 was another revolutionary time. And that's when I got my first digital camera. And in fact, I just pulled it out of the drawer. I bought this. This is now 21-year-old Olympus. This is a what does it call it? E20N. This was really the first reasonable priced camera that would compete with 35 millimeter. This was a 5 meg. And 5 meg is really a crossover point where 35 and digital and 35 beat. Anything after that's digital better. So I got that and took home, shot a few pictures, printed them up. And the next day I put all my Canon 35 millimeter stuff on eBay. I said, this is stuff is history. I'm going to sell it before people notice that how much better digital is. Sold a coffee house in 2007 and 8 actually, and got back into photography full time. So the last 14 years, however long it's been, I've been doing digital photography. And for the last 10 years, probably since 2010, probably 12 years, my main thing I've been doing is copying, restoring old photographs, which is a lot of what we did back in the 70s and 80s in the photo lab. We did a lot of copies and restoring old pictures and things like that. And also since I was 10 years old, I've been hand coloring black and white pictures. My mother did that commercially when I was a baby, basically. So she taught me how to color black and white pictures with Marshall oils when I was like 12. So I've been doing that my whole life. So I switched that over to digital. So for a lot of what I do now is colorizing black and white photographs. So that's actually what I thought I'd talk about for first. I will share my screen here. I've been posting a few on Facebook and get a lot of good comments. In fact, I think it was Calvin that said, hey, tell about this one. So here we go. Okay, this is a picture of my dad with a couple mules, and I had the original of this somewhere, and it's an 8x10 that was torn. The bottom corner is torn out. You can see down here, and I don't even know where the original is now. I had it in a drawer for a long time, and maybe it's in a file, but I've actually kind of worked on restoring this a couple different times. So this actually, just last week, I came across a 120 copy negative that I shot of this probably sometime in the 80s. So it was in my negative files. I was looking for something else. So I thought, well, I think I'll work on this. So this is a scanned copy negative, from 40 years ago, but the picture was taken in about 1935. So tell you what I did. First of all, this was the corner torn off and it's not straight across the top. So if you want to, there's several ways you can do this. Often you can just select it. Oh, I can't do it when I'm sharing the screen.
Should be able to.
I thought I could actually work on this. Maybe I can. Maybe I got to go back to my regular Photoshop. You can see that, right?
I've never tried to.
Maybe I can. Maybe I can. Okay, there it's working. Okay.
Oh, there it
Maybe
goes.
it's just slow because it goes through. That's okay. Anyway, you can highlight the things that are missing, and then I see it's going real slow because it's sharing the screen. That's all right. And then you can hit content aware fill, and it works pretty good. Or you can, I'll see if it's going to do it here. Obviously, it's going back to the outer space and back. Let's see here. What happens when you hit?
Well, it's a large area.
Yeah. Yeah, content aware fill. There you go. Content aware fill. Okay. Okay. It worked pretty good. Now the horse got extra leg, but you can fix that. So that's generally how it works. And you can also use the olden days back. I've been using Photoshop ever since it first came out in '91. And the main thing we had in those days was the clone tool. So you can always use that. And you need to fix up the spaces and things like that. So anyway, that's the first thing you do is get rid of all the cracks and fill in the holes and all that stuff. So we'll switch over to the other one. So this, I'm going to turn everything off. So this is after I cleaned it up a little bit. So then I decided that I probably ought to colorize it. So there is the latest version of Photoshop. This may or may not work. Sharing. First of all, you have to make sure the right layer is selected. Neural filters. The latest version of Photoshop has a fantastic colorizing feature. Under neural filters, colorize, click that little button right there, and it just takes about 10 seconds and you got a color. It works decently most of the time. I don't think the barn was blue. The horse was not blue. So forth. So you can actually then go over here and touch on up here on the focal point, choose a focal point. Then you can choose a different color, like maybe, let's see, maybe let's try it. Then maybe a little more orange. Okay, click on that, and then you hit OK, and then it changes. There you go. So forth. And you can do this. So you can either click on, there you go. And then you can pinpoint the colors you want. But well, I'd sometimes do that. Or, so I'll show you the one I ended up with. This is, okay, this is right out of the camera. I'm right out of the Photoshop colorize. And then what I usually do is I open up a blank layer that I call paint. And then I just use a color and paint over what I want to be. Here I repainted the horse. And also I thought the sky was kind of blotchy. The sky came out blue, but as you can obviously see, like the stains in the original one. So I thought, well, maybe I ought to just change the color. So there's a fantastic feature in Photoshop called sky replacement. Under edit, sky replacement. And what I do whenever I see a pretty sky, I have my phone out and I just photograph skies. So I had I have all kinds of skies, and you can load them into this folder. I have a folder called skies, and drop down here, and there's all kinds. I got just plain ones. I got little clouds. I got big clouds. I got spectacular clouds. You know, you can put on these, so forth. But you got to be careful because you want the sky to match the rest of the picture. You don't want really something real dramatic if the sky is kind of, you know, playing. And then you got to adjust it. You know, so in this case, you don't want his face to be blue, so you can shift the edges, so forth. That's anyway. So I use the sky replacement a lot, and I have a lot of skies. I'm going to cancel that out because I already used that sky, which I thought matched the rest of the picture more because it's pretty bright. So you don't want a real deep blue sky. And then I decided I need to paint the barn. So clicked on that. It's just, I call this layer barn, and I just painted over that with a little more brownish. And I think I probably under the paint layer painted the harness black and the mules brown. And then there's a trick. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but you hit Shift, Control, Alt, E. You got to go up here. Shift, Control, Alt, E, and it flattens everything else and makes a new layer on top of the flattened version. So this right here, then you can see where my layer, that is basically I can work on the whole thing in a globally, and it's still got all the layers underneath, but I can work on everything at once. It's a new deal. So what I did then, I took on that layer and I opened the Camera Raw filter, and then made some other adjustments like adjust the contrast, just the, you know, a little vignetted it a little bit, and color balanced. And then actually I printed this off as a 16 by 20 because I always work on the biggest size I think I'm going to need, because I did this as a 16 by 20. And then as I was looking at it, I think I forgot to do the dog's tongue. So then I had to add another little layer on top here, like called red, and then I just painted in the guy's tongue. So that's it. So this is one I posted, and another. I think when it was Photoshop colorized it, they had his pants yellow, and obviously he had on white, or he had on blue, you know, overalls. So I corrected the color down here, and so forth. So this is the one I ended up with, and I got to hang it in my studio as a 16 by 20. So that I thought that came out pretty cool.
Yeah, it did, Jim.
Any questions on hand color? It's sort of you know, I used to do this with oil paint on originals, and then for the last 10 years, I've just been doing it color at a time. And if you don't have the colorizing feature, the secret is to make a separate layer for each color. In other words, if you have a skin tone layer, I have one layer I call horse or mule, and one for the barn, and one for the dirt and all that. And that way, you can turn them off, either one off and on, or if you don't like it, you can add another layer and turn that one off. And then you can adjust the contrast, saturation, hue, color balance of each color separately. So if I'm doing this totally by hand, I'd have, you know, probably 7 or 8 different layers, each with a different color on it. And all you have to do is make sure you have the blending mode set to color. You know, otherwise it turns everything off. It covers everything up. So, but the cool thing is about this, if you have a color, like, let me show the red here, I can use the opacity. Watch the dog's tongue. There's redder. And then I can turn the color down. So by using the opacity, you can decide how much bright you want it. And then you can do it on every single color. So it's really cool. And then the colorizing thing gives you about, you know, gives you a head start, basically. Probably, I mean, I could hand color this whole thing in 30 minutes. With the colorizing feature, I can do it in 10 minutes. So it saves a lot, but it's not perfect. You still got to go back and work on it. Okay.
Do you have to select that portion of the image for every place where you're
No,
fading?
only if you want to change it. Just hit colorize once and it just does it. In fact, let me see if I have another one here. I got your guys' up. Let me find. I got these are all customer stuff. Hey, here we go. Let's try this one. See what this does. This was a problem because it was okay. Now I'm just going to hit colorize and see what it does. This is one I think it didn't work very well. Colorize. You see down box. There you go. Yeah, it's okay. I probably have to go in and one lady's face came out blue. So you have to fix that.
Will you shut the oven off?
You know, things like that. So it gives you a head start. You don't have to, you know, and I'd say 1 out of 10 times, it's perfect the first time, but it's real close most of the time. The day I had one, it was terrible. So I had to basically do it all by hand. But I do a lot of these. I do virtually every day I do a colorizing job. Some days I have, that's all I do all day. So not gonna say that. Okay, any thoughts, questions on that? And let's get you guys' step up here.
Oh, it's a pretty slick feature, right? I'm very familiar with
It's
colorizing.
better. I mean, every time they update Photoshop, it's better.
Yeah,
And if you tried it, 6 months ago and it didn't work very well, or a year ago when it first came out, it was probably didn't work at all. But they keep improving it, and that's the cool thing about the subscription service. Every few months they'll do a little upgrade, and a lot of times it's something that you've been fighting, and it's they fixed that file. So
yeah, there's been a few times they've thrown things away that I'd like to have kept.
and that's why you keep the old version in case.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So how does that make you feel, Jim, that all that hard work you've done in the past for, fixing, colorizing photos, all of a sudden you got a plug-in for it that does it for you?
That's actually a good question. I think it's great. I mean, I don't say, oh man, all those years I spent hand coloring is wasted. Nah, not at all. In fact, I know how it works. So I can see that, this saves you a lot of time. We wish I had this years ago. But then it's also a lot to be said for, knowing how, knowing the background. And, I think it's probably a real disadvantage if you don't know how to do it by hand.
Yeah, I think it's a
all
lot
of a sudden,
like,
the only thing you know how to do is hit a button, I mean,
yeah,
a few years ago, my wife and I went to ice driving school in Colorado. We were getting concerned about being scared to drive in the winter, or at least, being nervous. So we found out there was a school which actually learned how to drive on ice. And we went out and took it in not Colorado Springs, in Steamboat Springs. And anti-lock brakes were just coming out. So on the cars they had for us to drive, they disconnected all the anti-lock brakes. They said, we want you to learn to stop on ice without anti-lock brakes. And the cars had traction control or anti-skid, turned it all off, disconnected it. So that way when you get it, you'll appreciate it, but you got to be able to drive without it. So it's kind of the same idea.
well, the other thing that too, it's kind of like doing post-processing as we do today without ever experiencing the wet darkroom.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have one of my early jobs I skipped over was I actually went to electronics trade school to be a TV repairman, and back when they had CRT TVs and all that. And Photoshop actually has something. Actually, they borrowed from 3 disciplines. They have photography or darkroom work, because you got like burning and dodging, contrast, things like that, exposure. But then they also have things they stole, or they borrowed, I should say, from television, hue, saturation, things like that. And then there are things they took from the printing process, like unsharp mask and things like that. So it's a number of disciplines come together in one program. So it's if you're familiar with the other things, it makes life a lot easier because you say, oh yeah, this is the way in fact, I teach a class in Photoshop and I have to explain about burning and dodging and what the little tools mean. One of the tools is a hand. What's that for? And I have to, well, that's because you held your hands under the enlarger. And then one of the tools is the dodge tool, like it looks like a lollipop. So you have to say, we used to have a thing on a stick, So anyway, let's talk about your pictures unless you have any more questions about that. It was Calvin ever show up? I don't see him.
No, I haven't seen him, so.
Okay, this says this is Calvin's. I would ask him, but I can see their train wheels. Since he's not here, we can't ask him about it, I guess.
That's what they look like, is train axles and wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, I like it. I think it's kind of cool. And I don't know if, after I looked at it for a minute, I saw a little weed growing up down here. So I like that it's a unusual aspect ratio. Let's see what size this is here. Basically 5 by 15. Yeah.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah, 3 to 1.
Jim, could you hit
Yeah.
Command 0 and enlarge the picture to the frame size?
I don't have to. I just zoom with my thing.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go.
In fact, I could probably blow this up to. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm full screen in now. I can see. I always have my Photoshop set for zoom. Under preferences, you set to zoom with the scroll wheel. So I can just.
Yeah.
I do that. I do that all the time. So particularly if I'm retouching or hand coloring, I can just go into one little spot there. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what to say about that. What do you got? Can you guys think about the?
Do you have a title on that?
Oh, back to the title says "A Weed Among the Wheels."
Ah,
That's the
okay.
weed down there.
Yep.
When I first saw it, I wonder why he left the wheels. That's the name of this. That's the name of the picture. It's the wheel. Is the weed. Yeah, pretty clever. I just think. I mean, I think it's the pattern. Repeating patterns are always cool.
yeah.
I look for that a lot, and this is an obvious one for this all stacked up. Since he's not here, we will. If Calvin shows up, we'll come back to it. The next one is Schultz. You're here, right, James?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. What? Tell us about this.
When we were talking, thinking about circles, I happened to have some images open from a day that I had spent at Dulles Airport, the Smithsonian Extension, Air and Space Museum Extension. And I was going around and I was trying to shoot as many of the front of the planes as possible because just looking at how many of the engines were radial engines and stuff. And it just offered, some fun things to play with. And I happened to have that open. I was thinking, well, there's some circles. So
What kind of airplane is this?
I have no idea. It was a biplane.
Okay. I love the look of aerial motors or radial motors. Radial?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just the idea of cylinders all the way around. And do they still make them? I don't know if they do. I don't think so.
There's not too many. I don't think big prop engines anymore.
Yeah.
The thing that grabbed me too was that even the paint scheme on the cowling even kind of added an extra kind of circle that pull,
Mm-hmm.
around. Anyway,
Yeah, I like this a lot. I'm
What-
both
What is the title of that one, Jim?
looking at the nose.
Thank you.
Yep, nose of the engine. Yeah, being both a musician and a photographer, I often connect the two. And I was just thinking about this morning. In fact, to me, the light tones, whites, are high notes. In fact, we even call it high key. And then the dark and the black areas, low keys, are the low notes. So one of the things I like is to be able to hear the whole band, the whole orchestra. And see, a lot of pictures are just, all low notes, bass, which is to say dark. Thing I like about this, one of the things I like about this is it's the whole gamut. Basically, you got whites, you got blacks, and everything in between. In fact, I always like to look at the histogram. I'll just pull up the levels thing here. I guess I can see that all right. So you got, in fact, it goes off the end, all white and all black and everything in between. So pretty well rounded tone range, and plus it's just a dramatic picture. Any other thoughts on that one? Let's go on to this one. Bill, was this yours?
Yeah, it's fine.
William? You go by William or Bill?
Bill,
Bill, that's what I thought. It says William on your name thing there.
I know, I can't figure out how to change that.
Oh, well, that's easy.
This is basically a picture of a gas flame on my stove. I was walking by one day. I thought, well, I wonder how that would work. So I took my cell phone, stuck it on there, took a picture quickly.
Before you set the phone on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to this one. I guess I can blow it up a bit more. Yeah, and in fact, when I could tell what it was, but I thought it was a clever idea. And
I kind of like the symmetry of it, and then the break in symmetry, the lower, just off the center left side where the flame is not coming out. Apparently the burner is plugged or something, but that little break in symmetry just adds a little bit of constructive tension.
yeah, would it look
Do it.
any different sideways? Let's see here. Is that better or worse? Have the light at the top. Because this can be anywhere.
Yeah,
You go any direction.
the light at the top kind of takes me out of the picture
Oh, you don't like that?
now.
So you like it better like this?
Well, yeah, I don't like the light area, but
Bottom.
because it is so light, it's distracting. It takes my eye away from the center content.
Would you
It
burn
seems-
in the side over here?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that wasn't intentional. It was a reflection.
See what that does? Like that?
Yeah, that could be fixed. Yeah,
How about that?
that's
And,
pretty easy. Yeah.
And I'd wonder what it looks like with a little more contrast. I'm gonna get the
Yeah, I agree. It could be opened up.
but if you lighten the whole thing up. Let's see. Is that better or worse?
I like it better.
And so I burned in the side, but then lightened the whole thing. Well, I should have, yeah. And the darks are dark enough.
Yeah.
If you lighten it a little bit, you can see the grid in the middle a little easier. Turn that back off here.
Well, I kind of like that, it being obscure in the middle.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that it's
That's what it
black,
was originally.
Yeah,
well, the metal burner part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the title on that one?
Gastronomical.
Guess that does have to do with eating. Swirling water. This is whose is this?
Dennis Lindell's.
Oh, is he here?
No,
Yeah.
Well, it's called Swirling Water, Dennis Lindell. Get my thing out over here. Obviously, the circle is the water down here. I mentioned that I see a lot of comparison between music and photograph, and some photographs are like ballads. They tell a story. Others are, like a song from a musical where advances the plot or something, and then others are more like jazz, that they or an instrumental that may not say anything. It was supposed to it connects somehow, but not if it's a little hard to get the message, and that's the way this one is to me. It's kind of cool, and it even took a little bit to figure out what it was, but actually by seeing the rocks that are leaves up here, I said, oh yeah, it's a stream. It's a slow shutter speed, probably pretty slow. I'm guessing that's like a fourth of a second or maybe longer, I don't know, so you can see the movement. That's so what do you guys think? I mean, it's thinking about the tonal range. You got whites and blacks and everything in between, so that pleases me.
I'm thinking leading lines, the lower right or kind of center right, then I can follow that back to the circle of water, but then the white in the upper left takes me right out of the picture, being as light as it is.
Up here on the upper left,
Upper left.
what would happen if we crop it a little bit?
Yeah, you get all the way over to the right.
Like that. What does that look like? Or you
Well, yeah, it narrows the subject down because there's so much to look at. I mean, I don't know what he's trying to show. Repeating circles, or what was the title again?
Swirling waters.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I think I
Well, yeah,
kind of like that a
the
little
way,
bit.
the way you have it cropped, I think is probably more, I would probably crop it more at the top and get rid of
More
that.
than that,
Yeah, at the top.
more like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would too. I think I like that better.
But now you're getting away though from your subject matter though, or your.
Well, are you, I mean,
What if you crop the whole, the bottom third?
But we just centered in, zeroed in more on the swirl down here.
right.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. There's here. I'll turn the crop on again. I think this is something like that is what we're talking about. Just out of curiosity. Oops, let's see. What would let's see what the colorizing thing does on that, because it doesn't know what it is. Hey, that's not accurate color, but it's kind of crazy. Okay. As Dennis said, let's see, did I undo that crop enough times? Yeah, that's back to where it was.
What about cropping the bottom third?
Cropping the bottom off or on?
Yeah, take it, yeah, crop the bottom off, bottom third of it.
Like that? Or you'd only leave the swirling water, or were you thinking about just?
Yeah, yeah, crop it up maybe just a little bit more to where.
I don't know. To me, this swirl right here is the main subject.
I agree.
and you don't want to lose that.
Oh, now see, I'm drawn right up to the top and to the circle at the top.
Oh, you got this circle over here.
Yeah, I'm talking, yeah.
Yeah, you're drawn to it. You're drawn to it because the values are so light. But the title is Swirling Water. Well, the swirling water is really the one in the foreground.
Yeah, right down here. Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's the rest of it doesn't really add to, it detracts from the title, in my opinion. And you need to focus on the content that you want the viewer to see and what tells the story. And the background up there just it adds, in my estimation, clutter
Yeah,
and
I was gonna-
distraction
We could either crop
distraction
it
from the
off.
real subject.
Yeah, we could either crop it off like I did, or we could burn it in.
Yeah.
You know, make it. Do I have my exposure? What do we got here? Burn it down a little bit more, and then actually I got it at 18%. Maybe I'll turn up. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. Yeah, I mean that to me that makes it more interesting. Okay, let's go on. This is the Indian head coins. Do they call these Indian nickels or buffalo nickels or both? I forgot.
Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah.
Buffalo nickels, yeah.
So we called them anyway.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. But anyway, it's called Indian head coins. But I mean, they're obviously circles, and I thought those were pretty clever. I mean, and had some of them heads up, some heads down. Whose is this? I forgot.
That's mine.
Okay,
Tom,
Tom.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us about your. Indian
Well,
head.
again, I was trying to come up with something, I mean, there's all sorts of circles. I mean, I was looking at straws and all sorts of stuff, and it just was like not interesting. And I got to thinking about, I have several coins. I've got, coins from different nations and whatever, and then, but I have a whole number of these, and I thought, well, I just throw them in a pile and just see how they look. And I was using my close-up lens on that, and I just kind of played around with the symmetry a little bit, and I thought, well, that looks pretty good, and I just went ahead and shot it. So didn't do a whole lot in Photoshop with it, I just maybe sharpened it just a touch, but other than that, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, it's always kind of a call whether you sharpen it or not, because when you sharpen it, then all of a sudden you can see the almost too much texture, but also it makes it. Let's try something different here. What I should have done is others is I'm going to make a duplicate copy so I can work on the copy. And thing I always try is let's see where we go here, filter. The camera raw filter has a lot of really cool stuff, which is also the same as Lightroom. And I always try to see what happens if I move the clarity tool all the way to the right, or maybe the texture. Sometimes you back and sometimes you can back, move the clarity up and back the texture down. It gets an interesting effect. And the dehaze actually is kind of a contrasty thing. And Colin Smith, first thing he always does is turn the highlights down. Probably do that. And just mess around with this stuff. And sometimes you get something interesting. Sometimes it's worse, but you can. Oh, there it is. Is that worse or better? There's the
I think it's worse.
worse. I think you're right. You can also then adjust the opacity, turn it down a little bit, or you can always adjust the blend modes. And always kind of go through these and see if any of them do anything. Not really. Okay, I think you're right. I think that was the way to go right there.
I think I'd try and tone down that upper left Liberty Indian head.
You know what I'd do? I'm gonna make another copy here so I can do it here. Uh, we used to do this back when I had the black and white photo lab. I had a couple of regular customers whose standard instructions were burn in the corners, burn in the corner. I thought a couple of newspaper guys, whatever you do, I want the sky dark and I want the corners dark. So now, and you can do it with obviously
Vignetting.
but the vignette tool down here, this is
Yeah.
this is a marvelous little thing. It's real simple, and you can do it a lot. You can go the other way, but I often do just a little bit. In fact, the one of my dad with the mules, didn't point it out, but it was vignetted a little bit, which I think makes it kind of snaps it up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. That helps a lot.
Yeah, vignette a little bit, and that's how forces your eye down toward the middle one. Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. So here's no vignetting with vignetting.
Yeah, the problem with Photoshop vignetting is you can't move the vignette.
Actually, I think you can.
Oh, can you now?
Yeah.
Because on one, you could
you can
move the
adjust-
vignette.
There's adjustments on it at least. Let's see, we get it up here, and or probably a slicker way. Okay, yeah. You open up the little arrow, and then let's see what's it going to do. Okay, once you move it, then you can move the midpoint. It doesn't look
Yeah,
like
that's just feathering
round.
and
You-
highlights and yeah.
Maybe if I did more so you can see it, then it's not. Oops, I gotta make sure. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And feather highlight. Anyway, there's some adjustments on it. But another.
Here in Lightroom, you could use the radial brush tool and
That's what I was getting ready to say.
an offset.
I was getting ready to say use the radial tool and then you can move it around. Cancel changes. Yes, I was going to read the instruction, make sure I'm doing here. Yeah. Yeah. The vignette tool in Camera Raw Filter is a quick and easy way to do it.
Right.
There are more sophisticated ways. Okie dokie. Let's turn that one back to where it was. Anything else on that one? I mean, just the whole idea I think is really cool, and I could make it even cooler, I think, by vignetting or change it just a little, and you just have to mess around with it and see what works. Let's see, McGee, that would be Ramon.
That's Harry.
Oh, that's Harry McGee.
Oh, Harry McGee. Okay, I'll start with
Yeah.
H McGee.
Yeah, he's my cousin.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we're cousins somewhere.
Not really. Well, probably, I don't know, back eons ago.
Yeah, who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows, Raymond?
Anyway, yes, he's not here. Oh, there he is. There he
There
is.
he
I was looking at the wrong one. There he is down below.
Yeah.
I can't see everybody on my little window here, I guess. Okay, Harry, tell us about your picture, about your hay bales.
Well, there's a farm not too far from me. I drive down by just several times a week. There's always something interesting out there. And I drove by there a couple weeks ago and I seen those circles of hay. And I thought, well, that'll ought to work for my circles entry.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have kind of a soft spot in my heart for bales of hay for some reason or other, because I often will stop along the side of the road and photograph big hay bales. In fact, I mean, see.
Yeah. Farms always have something interesting to
Okay, this
photograph.
is my wallpaper on my computer. Can you see that? Or does it show up?
No, it doesn't show.
It did show up. No, okay, well, it's a good idea. Didn't work. I guess you can't see it. Or maybe I'd have to go back to the share a different screen. But anyway, I have a picture of a lot of hay bales. You know, they're smaller, more distance on my my wallpaper, I guess, somewhere on my computer. What would you guys do? Anything different with this? In fact, you've been edited a little bit. We're just talking about that.
Harry, was this a daylight shot or was this?
Yeah, this was first thing in the morning, real early in the
Oh yeah, you
morning.
can see this strong side light.
Mhm.
That's why I was wondering if it was almost like a spotlight or something
Yeah.
from a pole or something.
That's from the
Because
sun.
it almost, I get the impression it's a night shot.
No, that's the sun rising.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost on the edge of spooky.
Yeah, I think the reason
Yeah, the shadows and everything.
I
Yeah,
think the reason it's spooky is because it appears to me to be overly contrasty. Let's see what happens. I don't know if I can. Well, here, I'll try the brightness. Do this with this. This does anything. Just by using the brightness thing. Let's see. In fact, the legacy one makes it even more so, I believe. That really goes flat. That makes it better. Don't need that. Wonder why they have two different versions. Yeah, to me that looks a little more pleasing because otherwise it's a little bit. Let's see if I can show the difference. Okay, there's the original. There's just lowering the contrast a little. Doesn't take not much, but you can. To me, it's not quite as what's the word? Scary, spooky.
Well, that wasn't a criticism. I like it that way.
You like that?
I, where it's darker and this
Yeah.
way, when it's really dark, like the original, it then you really see more of the hay bale as opposed.
Yeah, let's see.
Then the barn almost comes a little bit distracting if you see too much of it.
Yeah.
To me, anyway.
With the curves, you can do a lot, but I end up fighting the curves quite a bit. But I don't know if that makes it easier. It makes it worse. Turn off the curves. Turn on the brightness contrast. So this is, yeah. I think it's. I wonder what the colorizing would do on that one. See if it knows that that's hay. See,
Yeah.
It does a remarkably good job on some things. Yeah. Okay. Now, so, okay. See what you have to do is let's fix this right here where it missed the part of the hay. That's not too bad.
Yeah, the barn is red.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, you can hit the barn, choose a red color. And then what you'd want to do, and then the hay, you click over here where it's not the right color. Then you got to choose a different color. And I don't know, there's probably a way to use the eyedropper to choose the color. There you go. Oh, is this a snow? I just noticed that was snow down here.
Yeah, that's snow.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what you'd probably do is lower the saturation of the color. Let's see. We'll move you guys over on the other side. Let's see here. But just lower the opacity. There you go. Yeah. So if you want to colorize it, that'd be how you do it. Okay. Any other thoughts on that one?
Well, my thought is that if the title is, about the hay, I would minimize the appearance of the barn.
Okay.
While it's a supporting element, but the storyline, according to the title, is about the hay.
Have you discovered the neural filter depth blur?
Yeah,
turn this little guy down here and it throws the background out of focus.
right, right.
It does. Okay, it didn't know what the background was. So I need to focus on the subject. And now
Yeah, you're
I
getting
need
there.
to increase the focal range. So more is in focus. And then I need to turn the strength down so it's not as blurry.
Yeah, now it's about the hay bales.
Okay. And you can also add some haze to the background.
Yeah,
Do that like that.
Some haze,
Haze. It's got a haze.
haze filter,
some hay filter, haze.
Haze.
haze,
As
Z.
Haze as opposed to Hays. In fact, it is, in this case, it is the haze filter, but let me turn it back on here. Okay. And then yeah, there was original. And there is the background out of focus. And there, well, the color one, I guess, is already not back. Yeah. So there's a few things you can do. I've been really enjoying that blur filter, particularly if anything I've shot with my phone, where it's got, I mean, the phone has fixed aperture. So everything's in focus all the time. I don't know why it has focus built in, because everything's always sharp because it has, 4mm lens or whatever it is.
Well, the newer iPhone has a focus that you can
Actually,
change.
mine does too. In fact, it's got 3 lenses in it.
Yeah,
But generally things are sharp. So if you want, but I've been able to use this if I wanted to look like it was shot with a longer lens or wider f-stop, something like that. Okay, any other thoughts on that one? I think throwing the background out of focus helps a little bit, helps a lot.
yeah, I agree.
And at that point, you don't really need to lower the contrast, because it was probably the background that was distracting, now to think about it. Okay. See all that?
Mhm.
Okay, let's what else we got here? Oh yeah, the washers. This is I thought this was really cool. Whose is this? This is Bill's.
Yeah.
There you are. I moved all your faces over the other side of my screen here.
Oh,
This is washers, right?
yes, that's correct.
I guess the first question is, why did you decide to photograph some washers? Same as the coins, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to get the circular theme going.
I think it's really cool. What do anybody else think about them? And
Well, compositionally, I like that there are at least 2, almost 3, really, that there's only 3 washers. You have an odd number in the compositional component. I think that's a plus. I think some of the coins in the corners are along the edges, especially the one on the right in the center. I think I'd either crop that out or just
this
take
one
it.
right over here.
Yeah, or just take it black.
Well, let me just clone it out so it does.
Yeah, it's just,
Well, I'm gonna
it's so light. It's so light that
duplicate
it's,
this layer so I can turn it off and on.
yeah, okay. There you go.
How about that?
Yeah.
You think it was one too many washer?
Well, it was so light that it draws your
There you go.
eye off to the edge of the image, and you visually want to go out of the image.
Mhm.
And what you're trying to do, or should be trying to do, I think, is keep the viewer in the picture or the image
So-
and have plenty of things for them to look at by moving around their mind in the image.
So you're okay with the one over on the left side?
Yeah, I think some of those on the left corner, try taking the one in the upper left corner out.
The top left?
Yeah, top left. Just go black on that one.
There it is, like that.
Yeah, I think those 2 help a lot.
So here's with and without.
Yeah, there's a couple of those I'd probably reposition, but yeah.
In this case, I think the high contrast works really well. You got a couple of
Yeah.
them. The background
agree.
is solid black. And this one I think is probably blown out, but that's okay. In fact, over here on the histogram, you can see the little
Yeah.
yellow thing.
Yeah.
I guess that means it's white's blown out. How do you get that back on? I forgot.
Yeah, you're right, Jim, and that's why it's lost detail. It's just glowing.
Yeah,
With
but
lots
that's
of
okay. I
lights.
mean, that's appropriate. If it was somebody's face, you wouldn't be so good. But if it's
Right.
if it's a washer, it's supposed to be silver or shiny. So, I think it's cool. I like it.
Now, this might be what you might call an example of a low-key photograph.
Well, I don't know.
Almost.
It's got black and white. It's got blacks and whites both. So to me, a
Yeah.
high key is a lot of whites.
Right.
And low key is a lot of darks.
But you need a little bit, I think, to keep it interesting, Jim, I think you need to add a little bit of highlight in it. Not a lot, but a little.
More than this one right here.
Maybe less, but yeah, I think a little bit of highlight is good, but too much is not appropriate.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make it a low-key photograph.
Yeah. If you make it low key, for me, a low key is just a lot really light. So let me see what happens if we just change the levels. Actually, we can't do that.
Yeah,
To me, a low key, well, low key would be like that. High key would be like that. There you
right,
go. That's
right.
high- Yeah, that's high key. And the low key would be
Just the opposite.
just the opposite. Yeah. Now, where'd my little flagger go here? Yeah, anyway.
I mean, either way, it becomes more abstract.
Anyway, I think it's dramatic. So is that all the circles? My favorite one, when I was looking at the whole set, if I was going to choose a winner, which is hard to do, but Bill said just pick one, don't, because there's only 7, no use to rank them or anything. My favorite, when I first glanced at them, was this one. And I don't know if it's a subject matter. I think if one thing, it breaks the general composition rule, other than the prop is not straight across, but generally, most of the time, you don't want to do a bullseye where the subject's exactly in the middle of the picture. But this time you do. If the prop had been straight across or straight up and down, I don't think it would work as well. Being able to see all the cylinders, I think it's really cool. So this is my favorite. It's hard to tell. And I saw this one first, and then when the washers came up, boy, I like that one too. So, but looking at the whole set, I think that would be my favorite.
Yeah, it's got a lot of high impact.
Yeah, it's the one that jumps out to me.
When I looked at my 2 entries,
Mhm.
When I'm working on them, and when I'm working on a white background,
Mhm.
and in order to kind of give me an edge, I put just a dash of a gray color on the very edge of the peripheral of the frame. And then when I look at it all against this black background, that big white edge all around distracts me. Does that?
Oh, the white frame?
Yeah, the white framework, does
Well,
that help?
I
Or
thought if I switch the background on my computer to light, but by having the white frame around it, it doesn't make any difference what the background is. But if I had a white screen, then it would look funny. But if you didn't have the white frame and I was looking at it on a black background, then you wouldn't be able to see what the picture was. So I think the white frame adds a lot.
okay,
Well, I think if you were to mat that, I would mat that with a white core black mat. You follow what I mean?
Yeah. So
A
it would
mat
look
with a mat with a white core,
Oh, white core, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but the white core wouldn't give you as much of the width of the white that you have around this one,
yeah, correct.
which I think would be a good thing, because I think the width of this white is just a little too much.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. That's what bothers me.
Yeah.
I figured you did that because you knew we'd be looking at it on a black background. Otherwise, the picture would fade into the background. Yeah, and I think this would look really good big. You know, if this was mine, I'd make like a 40-inch square print of it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have even more impact.
Yeah. Okay, any thoughts on that? Those are the circles. I'm going to close all, and I'm not going to I don't want to save changes. No, don't want to make any change. There we go. Okay. I don't want to damage your past picture. Now let's open up the rest of them. Yep, there we go. Let's go back. Well, I guess it doesn't make it where we start. Do I have everything open? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. I guess there were 7 of each. Let's go back to the snow. To me, this is a high key. When I think of high key, this is what I think. You guys were talking about high key. This is your high key picture right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of white, just a little bit of dark. I like this one. To me, this would be a great Christmas card. I put, Merry Christmas across the bottom or something. And I like the lines, the hash marks, whatever you call
Yeah.
them. Tell us this is
This is mine.
this is yours. Okay.
Yeah.
Ramon.
Well, actually, it has some paper texture in it,
Oh, okay.
and combined with the lines.
Mhm.
And it was actually shot right out our front door about a year ago. Well, maybe 2 years ago. We had a real heavy snow.
Mhm.
And what I really like compositionally about it is you notice the repeating pattern of the trees
Yeah, the arch.
form kind of a tunnel
Yeah.
toward that pine tree. A tunnel in the shape of a V, if you will.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking strictly, but generally. And I just wanted to add kind of an artistic touch to it by adding the paper texture and the lines, kind of making it more artistic. And yeah, you're right. I've thought about using it as a Christmas card, but being from Hallmark, I chose to buy my cards.
Well, not being Hallmark, I like to make my own. So this is one I would have used.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like it. What did everybody else think of
I may still, I don't know.
it? And I like it goes completely white on the edges. To me, it's an arch. The trees come up to form an arch
Right.
all the way around. Yeah.
Raymond, did you do a white vignette on that, or is that just,
No, I didn't do a white vignette on it. That was done really as part of the texturizing process.
okay,
I could control the light and darkness of it in this particular case, a radial pattern. And I didn't want the textural quality to go all the way through the
Right.
image. I wanted it primarily on the peripheral, and the paper texture, I wanted it more in the foreground and then ceasing to exist as you get into the snow on the ground. And I didn't add any of that to the upper part of the picture at all.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. Go to another one here. Carousel. This is Schultz. That would be
Yep.
James. I see there. And in fact, Carousel, that's the name of it. And is this with a flash?
No, it was there was just a kind of a bright light that was coming almost over my back.
Mhm.
And it lit the people, you know, lit the girl in the baby carriage up almost. It's got a the color version of this is she's wearing a really bright pink overcoat, and then the thing that intrigued me about her is the white spots below the pockets.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
You know, so, and then the fact it was something that when I was looking at it on the screen, that okay, it starts to raise a few questions as to what's kind of happening here, and that's kind of what intrigued me about it, besides the lights of the carousel.
The funny thing is the kid's not paying attention. That's what's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was another part of it. You know, and she's
The
and
mom
she's-
is is really intrigued by the carousel and the little kid. He's just, okay, let's do something else now, mom.
Yeah, I think that's,
actually she's looking at a phone.
Oh, is she? Oh, I
Yeah.
thought she was watching the carousel go by.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, that's you're sitting in front of something that's, you know, sometimes can be kind of memorized, you know,
Mesmerizing, yeah.
mesmerizing.
Mhm.
the kid in the stroller is the story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He's ignoring everything that you're looking at.
yeah. Yeah.
so
it's-
again, that was the white border around the thing is a lot more than what
yeah, when on a
I
dark picture,
expected.
yeah. If you were framing it, you'd do it like a a white mat or something of it. So, but just with the image loose, you kind of need to put the white border around it so it doesn't blend in with the background too much. Or whereas we're looking at it on a screen or something. Yeah, I'd like to put borders. If I'm just going to set some on Facebook or in a newsletter, I always like to put frames around them. That's kind of my whole thing. Either black or white, depends on how it's going to be printed. I like to put a little dark frame around it if I'm going to put it on Facebook. Just makes it stand out a little bit better. So, but kind of depends what the background is going to be. It's I always like to kind of close in the image so it doesn't bleed out too much.
I think what would have been neat on that, James, of course, it's easy to say now, but if you'd have left that shutter open for just a couple of seconds and have all the lights just kind of a swirl, and then everything else is in focus, or not swirling in the foreground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The fence and the people,
Yeah.
but just have a swirl light,
Yeah, I don't. I kind of like it, everything being sharp, so it's kind of.
Yeah, I think I just
That's
changed
probably what I've done
change
both
the
ways.
title.
Yeah.
Change the title to disinterested.
yeah,
Yeah.
that worked.
If I probably would have shot like this, and then I probably would have slowed the shutter speed down just to see what difference it made, just to see which one I liked best. If I had time, because even the people over here in the background are nice and sharp, so it's obviously
Yeah.
fairly well. Let's see, do we capture this
Metadata.
metadata? Actually, 160 to 2.8 is what it says. Is that right? Yeah, 160 to 2.8, 250. So that's not a real fast shutter speed. 2.8. I hadn't got around to looking at the stuff yet here. Doesn't say what kind of. Oh, here it is. Canon PowerShot G9. Cool. I hadn't even looked at the metadata on these. I guess it didn't make any difference. I think it doesn't make any difference. If it's a good picture, it doesn't make any difference what kind of camera it was or what shutter speed or anything, other than something different. Okay, any other thoughts on that one? Let's go to the next one here. Whose is this? This is Tom? Is it yours?
Yeah, there's,
Tell us about this.
okay.
I see it's two saddles.
Yeah, in New Mexico, there is a little town called Pie Town. And 111 people there.
Mhm.
And the attraction there was 2 restaurants that made pies. And they did have sandwiches and other things, but it's kind of a destination. I mean, it's in the middle of no place.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
And I mean, you're in there eating and they're bringing pies out of the oven. I mean, it's just a wonderful smell and atmosphere, and everybody is just so friendly. Unfortunately, COVID put them under. There is no more Pie Town restaurants. Both of them closed.
Hmm.
But the
that
pies were absolutely delicious.
Is that on Old 66?
Yep. Well, no, it's on. I think it's Highway 60. I think
60.
it's south of Albuquerque and kind of west. We were going to the Big Array down that way, and if you just continue west, you go into Pie Town. But there's nothing else there. I mean, but these 2 saddles were sitting outside with the pie, and I just thought that was kind of cool because you're in the, the West, kind of signifies with the saddles, the Old West. So anyway, but it's too bad that Pie Town is no longer.
Well, they may come back. You never know.
I don't know. I would hope so, but yeah.
I
Anyway,
figured
that's the
there's
story.
more behind this. Any other thoughts on that one?
Your intent here, Tom, was documentation more than anything. Is that correct?
Yeah. If you have to put a classification on it, yeah, documentation of the restaurant, because that was right outside the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it was closed when you were there, or this was?
No. When we were there, it was open.
Oh, okay.
We had pie.
Good.
We had pie.
Good.
That was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay, let's see how we're doing on time. Let's keep moving here. Let's go to the next one. Oh, all right, this is the where's Calvin never did make it.
Well,
Okay. So is this an egret?
it looks like a blue heron.
Blue heron, okay. So he's not here to tell us about it. Obviously, the big bird staying in some water. What I like the bird being bright and everything around him being pretty dark. I think it really jumps out. When I was looking at it, what I would do different is crop it a little different. Get my crop tool out here. If it was me, I would make him kind of like that. So I put him on the one, the 1/3 line here, and maybe let's see, maybe you don't need as much on the bottom. If I was going to do like an 8x10 or something, or that format.
Yeah, a little bit of a vignette too.
Yeah, let's try it. Let's see. Let's crop it up like that, and see if it vignette did anything to it. Let's go with just the easy way. Camera raw filter. Vignette. I mean, it's already kind of vignetted. There's go the other way. Let's see. In fact, I'd probably turn down this highlights so you can see a little more. It's kind of his face is kind of blowing out a little bit there. A little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Turn down the highlights a little bit, and vignette a little bit, and crop it up, and there you go. I think that better.
Yeah, it's a much better crop.
Yeah, that's the way I do it. But so I mean, it was It was a good picture before. It wouldn't, I mean, I think this is a little nicer, but that is me. Go back out here. There's what it was originally. But typically, if there's something with a face, I like to see them looking into the picture. That's why I cropped it up. In other words, that's why I would crop it like this instead of like that. To me, it would be bothersome to have the bird, look to the edge of the picture. Over here, he's looking into it, and it's more pleasant to me.
Yeah, he's on the vertical third line.
Yeah.
What's the title on that, Jim?
The hunter.
Thank you.
So I guess he's getting ready to grab a fish. Okay. Calvin's not here to defend himself on the prop. We will go to the next one, the spider. This is Bill's.
Yeah,
Are you here? Yeah, there you are.
he's, that was the spider that was in my bittersweet vines. And I don't know, just looked interesting.
How big is this guy? He looks
Maybe about the size of a quarter.
okay.
And I don't know what, there's white specks that show up in there.
Was it
Other
snow?
than that, I'm not,
It's not in the snow.
no, it's not snow. I don't, it was just almost like just white flakes. I don't. Anyway.
Organic material.
it could be.
So what would anybody do anything different with this guy? I mean, I'm not
Well-
a fan of spiders, so I'm not.
Yeah, I think it needs to be cropped and it's too flat tone wise.
Okay, I was thinking the same thing. Let's just go with levels and move the whites over. Makes quite a bit of contrast here just by lightening it. And then if we would get rid of the stuff at the top and zero in on the spider, where do we want him in the frame?
Yeah, because the spider is the subject matter.
Yeah. What if we really crop down on this like that there? And then what if we burn in the, oops, let's see here. It's kind of burn in the edges a little bit. What does that do? Does that make it more scary?
Yeah.
Let's see here. One dodging just, oops, wrong thing. The you click on the dodge tool but it doesn't necessarily switch every time. Let's try it again. Yeah, okay, now I got dodge. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brighten him up and then darken around the edges.
I'd probably crop some of that bottom
You crop it a little bit more.
on the bottom.
I'd probably make it more regular rectangle, like more like that. All of a sudden, it's the only thing in the picture is
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
there's
that
a
looks
nice,
better.
there's a much nicer geometric flow to it. The top of the spider has a curvature, and then there's kind of a teardrop compositional component out to the right.
You can see
But
real well. I mean, this is
You
a nice-
definitely see the spider, and that's the subject matter.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a much better rendering of it.
It's not much different. Okay. All right, let's go to the next picture. This is in fact, it's called. This is Dennis Lindell. He's not here.
No.
Okay, and it's obviously, in fact, it's called Abstract Reflections, which is obviously is. And when I was looking at this, it's obviously in the water. I thought, well, how would this look if it was upside the other way around? So I flipped it over. And I like it like this better myself.
I agree. That component at the bottom center, approximate center, I'd darken that down a little bit.
Well, what I was thinking I'd do is just point out whatever this is.
Yeah, that's even better. And that too, yeah. And that too, yeah.
And then,
It makes a nice abstract piece,
yeah, clean out some of these spots here.
right? They're just distractions.
Yeah,
You're not adding anything to it.
I think that's cool. So just flipping it over and tidying it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that one? Coming up on,
That's the shot right there.
in fact, I'd probably go ahead and clean up these. They're just reflections in the water, but
Yeah.
if you get rid of all these little spots,
Look like dust spots.
it looks like dust spots, even though I don't, it's not, it's
Yeah.
reflections, but still, when you first see it, you think, oh, it needs to be spotted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you spot those all out.
It's worth getting rid of.
There you go. Okay.
Now, would you still tone down that lighter colored one in the middle?
Right down here,
Yeah, that one there.
burn it in a
Yeah,
little.
that,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, any of those spots ought to go.
Let me just stick the levels thing on there and see what this does. It's kind of dark in the middle a bit. It's probably not necessary. But if you had that hanging in your living room, you know, above your sofa, look at it and start asking you all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
So
I see a Van Goghish interpretation here.
yeah.
Can you colorize that, just see what it looked like?
That's what I was thinking. Let's see what happens if we hit the colorized thing. I also use some of these other. There's a whole bunch of things here, like the color transfers and all those. Those are all pretty cool too. Style transfers. What this does. See, it thinks the water's blue. Well, it is. I mean, it makes it look like a. That's not real good. Let's see here. I guess I can turn that off. What? The style transfer. Talk about painting. Then you can choose either artist style or photo style. There you go. Talk about impressionist paintings. I usually go with the image style. I kind of like this one here. That's what that does.
Jim, you've used Photoshop for quite a while.
Yeah.
I kind of have a problem with the direction that's going. What you're doing was very doable in several versions before
There you
where
go.
they're at now.
Yeah, they just making it easier.
It took more time,
Yeah.
but I'm calling what they're doing now is they're giving you options to it's push button art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
No.
can't, you gotta be,
I could have done several of those interpretations in Photoshop. Would have taken me a little longer.
Yeah.
But from an artistic standpoint, I'd have felt better about accomplishing it than just pushing that button and saying, "Oh, I really like that, so I'll leave it alone."
I've almost never done that. I kind of use it for, I can always click through them and get ideas. And maybe a
Oh,
time
okay.
or two, it's come out pretty good. But usually what I end up doing is then adjusting it.
Yeah.
I say, okay, that's.
Well,
a
if you
good
don't
one.
adjust them, that's even worse. Yeah. Yeah.
In other words, I kind of blend it in or blend it with the original, something like that.
Yeah.
or just on even part of it, things like that. So, or like I did one portrait of my wife and I used one of those artist effects, and then I masked us out. So it was actually only the background. It was kind of swirled.
Yeah.
And it looked pretty cool. And in fact, it was so subtle. I turned the blend way down, so it didn't even notice it until you looked at it. It says, "Well, look, kind of like we're in a kind of a fairy tale place there," because the trees were moving around. So that's the time I'd have used it. I wouldn't just. I can't think of a time when I just changed the whole thing just by pushing a button.
Well, I was working with Photoshop in 1989, and I was working with beta versions.
Mhm.
And I'd be on the phone with John Warnock about every other day saying, "Hey, this doesn't work and we need this," and so on and so forth. This was the precursor to what became our digital conversion process.
Mhm.
And we went through, well, then he would go to the back room and have the Knoll brothers, okay, I need some code for this,
Yeah.
Then he'd send me a 8-inch floppy the next day,
That's what you're with Hallmark.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they probably sought you guys out for see what really worked, or what was needed, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John was real easy to work with, and we had a really good relationship with Adobe, as we did with Apple too. But yeah, I look at the first version that we used in beta mode, and I look at what even Photoshop 6 was. It's come a long ways, but I mean, there were tools that we needed that we said, hey, there was 4 basic tools on there to begin with when we first got it, and that wasn't going to cut it. So
you do a lot with just the clone tool, and
oh yeah. I mean, there was a lot you could do with it. It really was, and you could do 4 color separations, but we did 6 color separations. So we wrote our own code, for digital separations. But yeah, it was an interesting project.
Yeah. So on this one, you can tell Bill that not Bill, Calvin, that we liked it better upside down.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, I think there's only thing.
We spotted it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we spotted it a little bit. Yeah. Okay, this one I really like, and obviously it's a plant, and it's just dramatic. I had one similar to this one time I posted. I actually had it at an art show, and an old friend sent me a text and started making fun of me. "So you're photographing flowers now, are you?" And I said, well, I thought, it was like it. So it was kind of out of character what I normally do, but I think this is really cool too. Whose is this? This is Bill. Tell us where you are. There you are. Tell us about this.
That was a plant there in Maui, outside our complex we stayed in. I didn't research the exact name of the plant, but it was that whole area was really done up in a real nice landscape theme, and all kinds of flowers and various trees and stuff. So that was just a detail of one of them.
I like it. And was it? Did you do much as far as the contrast, or is this the way it looked? I mean, obviously convert it.
Oh, I had to manipulate it quite a bit to get it.
Yeah.
Of course, you were looking at something that was green.
Right.
So, yeah.
I like the way the edges have
Yeah.
caught the light and give you those nice little slivers of line.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a lot of nice shape to it because, I mean, you haven't burned out any of the textural quality of the leaves. And
Right.
it's given it a lot of nice shape. I'd
I
probably
think
crop
it's
it a
just as
little
good black and
different.
white as it is brown. Well, I thought I liked it because it's brown tone, but here I'm desaturated and it looks just as good. So, in fact, there's not much you can do to mess it up. Oversaturate it, desaturate it, put in the middle. Looks
Yeah,
good
it's a nice
everywhere.
job.
Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I
See,
really
almost-
like the abstract quality.
I do too. when I mentioned earlier that talking about connecting photographs and music, and to me to me the light colors are the high notes, and the dark are the low notes. So this is the whole orchestra. You hear everything, but it does immediately tell a story to me. It's not a ballad. It is more of jazz, I'd call it, because it's emotional, but you can kind of read into it anything you want. It's not a hit you over the face. This is what's happening. And I mean, I think that's pretty obviously a plant, but other than that, it may not even be obviously a plant. I'm not really a horticulturist or anything, but I did get an app on my phone so you can take a picture of a plant. It tells you what it is. That's been real big.
Yeah.
So is that all of the pictures? Let's go through them one more time.
Jim, what's the title on that one, please?
Exotic leaves.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just thumb through them here. We got snow scene, carousel, python, the hunter, the spider, ready to attack, is what he calls it. Abstract reflections, which we flipped over, and exotic leaves. Calvin wanted me to choose the winner. I would say the snow sketch is runner up, and that to me it's basically a tie between the exotic leaves and that one. They're both they're totally different, but I like them both. I don't think I could say this one's better than that one. Is that unfair? I don't. I mean, to me,
We've had ties before.
The whole idea of art as a sport competition didn't really make sense to me. I mean, I'm never. I wouldn't say I never. I don't like to enter contests because it's like, well, somebody was talking about the contest they entered and said, well, the one that was chosen wasn't the best. That's always the case. I mean, I've heard it all the time. I sent in 3 good pictures. And I thought one they needed. I could send in 4, so I thought one that wasn't very good. That was the one that got chosen every time. It's like, what? I don't understand it. So that's kind of the way I am. So, if it's a timed event or you tell me points you can get, in a basketball game, it's one thing. But if you're saying, well, okay, this is a winner over that one, because it's got blacker blacks, right? That makes sense to me. So that's where we're at on that. I think these are all great. You guys are doing a good job.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate your comments.
Going to where do I get close here?
Yeah, thanks for judging, Jim.
Huh? Close all. There we go. Close all.
Anybody have any more questions? Okay, well, I guess that's the end of the meeting.
But Jim,
Good roll.
I'm going to
Jim,
stop.
I'd like to contact you about something else. Do you have a contact number I could use
For
or an
me?
email?
Yeah, it's Jim@mathisphoto.net. Let's see here. Maybe I can get at my
Hey, Bill, I had another question.
okay, here's my website, if you can see that. This is actually I got roll it, but
Where I don't
this is
see
my
it.
grandparents back in the 50s staying in Yosemite. A hand colored disc a while back.
I don't see an
There's
image. Jim.
Can you see Jim@mathisphoto.net?
No,
You're not seeing it?
no. Jim has started screen sharing. That's all I'm seeing.
Oh, in fact, it says your screen sharing is paused. What? Try it again here.
Nope.
Not do anything.
Uh-uh.
Maybe I should hit new share.
Well, you said Jim at mathisphoto.net. Is that right?
Yeah, can you see it now?
No,
No.
I just took it from your verbal.
It says you're screen sharing. Okay, well, we'll forget about it. It's a Jim at, my website is Mathis Photo Restoration.
Okay,
And the address is jim@mathisphoto.net.
okay, got it. Thank you.
It's easier just to try to get the thing up.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, you had another
I
question?
don't understand everything I know about Zoom, so even.
Yeah,
Thank
Bill,
you.
I'm looking at the 2022, 23 assigned subjects list that Calvin sent, or you or Calvin sent.
Yeah,
Are we supposed to vote on 8 of those? Is that what we're, because there's probably 12 or 15 sitting there, 14, something like that.
yeah, I think he's gonna send something out. We don't need to do that tonight.
Okay,
Okay, Bill, what's the name of your cat? Here we
What's
went,
what?
the cat on the, I see a cat on your screen.
oh, that's Cassie.
Cassie, huh?
She's a pistol, yeah. Maybe you can see her there a
There you go.
little better, yeah. She's a tomboy.
And I can see your
Guys,
wife.
I'm gonna have to go.
Okay,
Okay.
So thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
it's 8:28 according to my clock here.
Thank you, James.
So
I appreciate it, Jim.
Everybody take care of
Thank you, Jim, everybody.
themselves.
Okay, well, thanks for inviting me.
Thank
Good night.
you.
All right, thanks.